This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Everybody, welcome to a very special edition of the current state of WWE. I've got Anthony DeMarco with me, and we certainly are not going to have a shortage of things to talk about tonight as we are currently recording this as Monday Night Raw is being recorded. We have seen a couple of things, but that's not going to be really the focal point of tonight's show. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, of course, CM Punk's return, Randy Orton's return, and not just our initial reaction to that, but really what we can expect going forward. But Anthony, my God, what a difference just a day can make in the world of wrestling.
It's crazy as I start the show off with a cough. Sorry about that, everyone. But I guess that's kind of a microcosm of my excitement to really get going here. And this is arguably the most excited I've been to come on here and do the current state of WWE with you. And it was funny. I watched the beginning of Monday Night Raw, and Michael Cole said something that I would usually chalk up to hyperbole and just a gross exaggeration, as we often see WWE do, specifically with their commentary team. But he said, one of the most anticipated Monday Night Raws in history. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's an understatement. It feels like this is Monday Night Raw after Mania on steroids. And it feels like the entire company has gone through like a seismic shift. And it's probably me overrating what happened at Survivor Series. But that was one of the best pay-per-views, not only just because of the returns of Punk and Orton, but just like the storytelling I found was, it advanced so much. And to me, it felt like the official beginning of like the Triple H era. And I know we've been in that era for 15, 16 months now, but we had Vince come back in, we had the shift to TKO. But it just feels like this was like Triple H's stamp on the product, and it feels like he is really putting this thing into overdrive.
That may be a good way to really frame this whole thing, is that this really did feel like Vince wasn't involved, because I don't know, had Vince still been in charge, if Punk would have come back, if the stories would have played out the same way. It's likely no. The answer is no to that. And I think that we're in a position now that really sets us up perfectly for WrestleMania, because you are looking at the landscape of this roster and you're saying to yourself, my God, there are so many different scenarios and matchups that we either haven't seen or we haven't seen in a while. And you're looking at this and saying, wow, what about a heel turn? Could Randy turn on Cody? Could Cody turn? Unlikely. Could you have Randy Orton, or rather CM Punk, face off against Seth Rollins in that whole debacle that happened on Saturday night? There are so many different scenarios. And then Randy Orton this past Monday night, as I'm recording this, I saw him identify the bloodline in every single member he's coming after. So there's your Randy Orton Roman Reigns match whenever that happens. Punk and Roman Reigns. I mean, this has really not only established Triple H firmly in control of the company and feel like a different product, but it has truly, it almost feels like a Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. And I saw some of Raw, but not all of it. And it does feel like a Raw after WrestleMania. And it does feel to me almost like the unofficial beginning of WrestleMania season 2.
It feels like the beginning of just a new season or a new era. And, just the simple fact of like, we don't know what's real and what's like fake anymore. And I hate using that word. I'll just use staged. Or we don't know what's a work or a shoot anymore. It really feels like Triple H is slowly but surely turning back the clock to a vibe that we haven't felt in 20, 25 years, maybe 15, 20. But it's like back then the way that I was like kind of accustomed to watching was that we didn't really know what was real and what was staged. Like, we knew the entire product was staged. We knew that it was mostly just a show. But even just like a quick example of like Matt Hardy versus Edge, what was real, what was fake? Like when you would see certain angles, like, oh my God, that seemed like actually legit. And it feels like with Triple H now, we're starting to get back into that, as opposed to the last 15 years of Vince McMahon, where it was always staged and we knew everything was a show. It felt like a show. But now it's starting to feel like pro wrestling again. And even though we know that pro wrestling is 95% of work, sometimes you always have that bit of reality seep into it. And just obviously it's just one show. It's only 2 examples with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins and the entire, internet going crazy, but it just feels like that old vibe of pro wrestling. And we saw Randy Orton once again say professional wrestling to open up Monday Night Raw tonight. It just feels like that vibe is slowly but surely coming back.
That is a vibe. That is something that they have told us that they want us to feel. It's an environment that anything can happen, that anything at any moment. And for so long, it's not been the case. And now, and again, I don't want to take one night and extrapolate it over, a long period of time, but this is a massive moment in WWE. The ratings for Monday Night Raw are going to be probably accustomed or equal to the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, I would think, given all of the social media buzz that has been absolutely blowing up all of our feeds with Orton's return, which, as I've said in my Raw or my review for Survivor Series, I kind of feel bad for Orton because he's been lost in the CM Punk and overshadowed by the CM Punk return, and we can get into that in a little bit too. But just as a kind of high level overview and look down on the product right now, it feels like a different product. And I'm sure he'll have missteps along the way as we head into WrestleMania season, questionable decisions. That's to be expected, of course. But this is it feels like a different, fresh product. You're right. This feels like a true season premiere. Like if they were going to actually have a season premiere and make it mean something instead of just some random day at the beginning of September to try to coincide with all the other TV shows, this truly feels like the actual season premiere of WWE. And for the first time in a long time, Raw feels like the premium show after SmackDown dominated for a year or two with the Bloodline storyline.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. Like, SmackDown is in a bad way right now, and I know the vibe that they're trying to go with for SmackDown. The theme seems to be like traditional wrestling. You've seen a lot of like the lucha wrestlers get extended matches, whether that be something Dragon Lee. Obviously, Santos Escobar going to get a push now. You kind of have a bit of like the, I guess, entertainment bit with like Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, and Kevin Owens. The main event scene is still obviously with the Bloodline in LA. But SmackDown for me, and I said this once Logan Paul won the United States Championship, if they were not going to have Logan Paul at least be there on a bi-weekly basis, SmackDown was going to suffer big time because Roman Reigns is missing. And I don't think Logan Paul has been on one single SmackDown since he won the US title. And like, not to go off track here because obviously we got to dive into Randy Orton and CM Punk and all that stuff. But quickly, they got to do something on SmackDown. And that's why like almost I've been a bit lenient with how much that they've like been loosey-goosey with the brand rules, because it's only been a one-way street. You're not seeing SmackDown guys coming over to Monday Night Raw. It's been exclusively Raw going over to SmackDown just because they don't have the star power. And look, LA Knight, obviously, I was going to say the hottest wrestler, but now maybe that might not be the case anymore. You have the Bloodline that I guess is treading water and still semi-staying relevant. You have the women who I think are doing a good job. A nice story with Damage Control is developing. But in my opinion, specifically because of the lack of championships, SmackDown's in a very tough spot right now.
Yeah, SmackDown is. And again, they had their time in the sun, though. And this is the normal way of wrestling. This is the normal way of WWE. You have 2 brands. You're always going to have one brand that every show feels like, oh, well, that was better than Raw. This was better than SmackDown. But for a long time, SmackDown was the trending hot show with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline story, the Civil War. We all know the whole thing that happened, which was brilliant. And now Monday Night Raw has taken over. And I would imagine, while it hasn't been established here, and I guess this is a good segue into the more detailed stories going on with Orton and with Punk, is that both of them negotiate a quote unquote free agent contract where they're not binded to one show, because Randy Orton threatened the Bloodline. Well, the Bloodline's on another show. CM Punk, you'd imagine that he is not going to just stick on Raw, that at some point he's going to be able to go over to SmackDown and make a massive appearance there, maybe confront Roman Reigns, who knows when. But that to me makes the most sense. And I don't know if you feel the same way, that neither of them at this stage in their careers should be binded to a single show, that they should both probably have those free agent contracts like Brock Lesnar does.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because on Monday Night Raw, like, sure, like the first few weeks, probably right up until Royal Rumble season, both of them will be at the top or at the forefront, but they're going to get drowned out. And if they're not going to get drowned out, then some other prominent wrestler is going to get drowned out. Like, look how star-studded. Take CM Punk and Randy Orton out of it. Look at the star power that they had in that in the War Games match. Even if you remove Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, who are flirting with being main eventers on a full-time basis, you had, in my opinion, 4 superstars, or 5 superstars rather, that are surefire main eventers and that could fly in a main event on any pay-per-view. Damian Priest, which I'm sure some people will argue, Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes. Those are 5 guys, in my opinion, that have solidified themselves as main eventers every day of the week. And like I said, there's a case to be made that for Sami Zayn and or Jey Uso on any given night. Now you're adding in Randy Orton, a guy who has been on the shelf for 18 months, looks better than ever. Like, he quite literally looks better than he did 25 years or 20 years ago. And CM Punk, who is the most polarizing, and I don't think this could be disputed, the most polarizing character, wrestler, person in professional wrestling right now. And all eyes are going to be on CM Punk. So I don't know how much room there is for all these guys there. And, you know, not counting Sami and Jey, you could account for 7 surefire main eventers on Monday Night Raw right now. And that's not even mentioning any of the guys in the mid-card, like, oh, I don't know, the Intercontinental Champion Gunther, or The Miz, or Chad Gable, any of the tag teams, the women's division. So, I mean, I think that absolutely CM Punk and or Randy Orton should be free agents and should spend the lion's share of their time over on SmackDown, because right now SmackDown is in dire need of star power. And with John Cena gone, with Roman Reigns MIA, with AJ Styles and Sheamus on the shelf, who is a surefire main eventer on SmackDown right now? Rey Mysterio is also on the shelf now. Like, Kevin Owens, I guess he kind of falls into that tweener category. Austin Theory, Grayson Waller aren't there right now. Like, you have basically LA Knight and the collective entity of the Bloodline, because the Bloodline in and of, like, individually was Solo and Jimmy, but they're not individually main eventers. So, I mean, I really do agree that they need to make Randy and CM Punk free agents, just because of how badly SmackDown needs them.
Yeah, to me, there's just there's no option here, and I don't know. They weren't told on Raw if they're exclusive to Raw yet, at least to my knowledge. I would imagine that that's where they'll land, and they absolutely should, because it keeps things fresh. It allows you to move stars when you need to, and bump SmackDown when Roman's not there, which is 95% of the time. So that's something I expect to see moving forward. And so, I mean, reversing back here to that moment that everyone's been talking about, to the moment that you've seen on TikTok, on Twitter, or X, on Instagram, on Facebook, everybody's been inundated by the reaction videos or your reaction yourself, but I haven't been able to really chat too much in depth with you. When you saw Randy Orton come out, massive pop. The RKO was great. And of course, Cody having to get the victory really was just, I understand why they did it, because Daddy created the match. I don't give a damn. That doesn't mean anything to me. But that said, when you saw the logo, were you fooled into thinking, yeah, Punk's not going to be here? And when he did, what was your reaction? Did you audibly yell or anything?
You know what? I was watching it with my buddy, and when they won the match, he tried to, like, cue CM Punk's music in like at a certain point of Cody Rhodes' theme. Like, it was going to cut off Cody Rhodes' theme while they were all, like, high-fiving and congratulating each other. And then he was just like, damn it, I thought they were going to get us there. And then when they were panning out on the big like aerial camera and the copyright logo came at the bottom, I literally looked at him and I said, could they really do this pay-per-view without CM Punk? And then when his music hit, I literally screamed, oh my bleep, it's CM Punk, and got out of my seat. And it's crazy because I'm not even a big CM Punk fan. I've ripped CM Punk a lot. And it's not even about CM Punk himself. It's more the fact that, like, they actually did it. Like, what it means. And what it means, and there's a bit of a sadistic part of me that, like, I find it funny for AEW because I despise Tony Khan. And I find that AEW has just become like a land of misfit toys of WWE wrestlers of yesteryear. And the fact that they squandered CM Punk to the degree that they did, and to be fair, like, I've come on here, you've come on here and really like taken shots at CM Punk and said how unprofessional he came off in that, and the blame does lie at his feet. But there is no doubt that what Triple H said in the press conference is that, like, positive or negative, love him or hate him, people are gravitated to him and people talk about him. And I am so excited to see what's going to happen with CM Punk. And look, is it going to be like the best return ever? Is he going to have the greatest like run in wrestling history? Probably not. Maybe in a couple months the shine will wear off. But given everything that CM Punk has said about the company, everything he's done, it just, I don't know if I've ever had a return feel as big. And Bray Wyatt's felt massive 13 months ago. The Rock's felt massive, what was that, 13 years ago now almost? But this one just hit differently, and I can't explain it, especially given the fact that I'm not even a huge CM Punk fan.
I will say I was actually laying in bed. I was like, oh, I'll just watch the pay-per-view out through, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying not to make any noise because, half my family's sleeping, and that would have been a whole debacle in my household. It wasn't worth the yelling. So I had to contain myself, and then I came on the show and I had to, give my thoughts immediately because I couldn't hold it in. And I will say that the return did feel different. I credit WWE for waiting until the absolute very last second with the logo. Very nice touch to fool fans, because when you see the logo, everyone knows end of show, good night. And that didn't happen. And I mean, most of us got fooled into thinking he wasn't going to be there, even though they said, well, no one saw this coming. It's like, well, actually, no. I mean, you heard 15,000 people in the Allstate Arena chanting Punk throughout the night. So like that, I know they're trying to push there, but like, let's be real. And so this feels different, I think, too, and I admit, I came on the show and I continue to say he was unprofessional in AEW at times, even if he was at fault or not, he was unprofessional, and you just can't do that. And I stand by everything I said. But with that said, this return is different because of the circumstances that left him to leave in the first place, the things he said about WWE in AEW, how long it's been, all the things he's talked about on Colt Cabana's podcast, that infamous podcast that dropped, 9 years ago now. So everything here just leads to just, oh my God, how is this happening? The picture, I don't know if you saw it, with Triple H and Punk backstage, and Triple H's caption was something about a cold day in hell, because while they're not probably going to send each other Christmas cards, it's really unfathomable to think about where they are now compared to where they were. And I don't blame WWE for bringing him in. It's the smart move. It's the right move. He's a needle mover. He's going to bring in money. He's already got millions of views on social media. I have nothing against this program or against his return, but I guess that leads you to my next question. Did you see the Seth Rollins reaction from a fan video that was circulating around the web?
Yeah, of course. And that's kind of what kind of fueled my opening statement here, or I guess my opening thought, whatever kind of wording you want to use. But the fact that what's real and what's not. And we could also get into the Drew McIntyre stuff, but like Seth Rollins freaking out the way he did, giving him the double birds the way he did, the fact that it's Michael Cole and Corey Graves being the ones to really try and calm him down, and like CM Punk's reaction of just waving at him, all of this happening off camera, it just makes you smile. Like, it's making me grin right now because it's making me think back to the way it was 20 years ago. Now, do I think it's a work? Absolutely. I do think it's a work. I think Triple H knows exactly what he's doing. And you know what? If Seth Rollins actually reacted like that, shame on him. Like, I forget what his real name is. I think it's something Spanish. That's all I can remember from his real name. But if the real guy was reacting like that, shame on you, dude. Like, honestly, if you're in the entertainment business, unfortunately, it doesn't matter who put in the most miles, who put in the hard work, who's been there the longest, who's been the most loyal. If you're in the entertainment business, it's whoever draws the most eyeballs and, by extension, the most money. And that's what CM Punk is doing. But you know what? I think Seth Rollins, the guy, knows exactly how important this is, exactly how big it is, how exactly what kind of program he and Seth Rollins, him and CM Punk is going to have. And to me, it's just brilliant. Like, it's absolutely brilliant the way that they're going about this. And a lot of people are ripping like journalists and insiders like Sean Ross Stapp or Dave Meltzer or whoever that like, oh, you guys weren't on this. Like, look, this isn't the NFL. This isn't the MLB. This isn't like a typical sports journalist trying to find insider info to like report and break news. It's a simulated sport. And in simulated sports, or in WWE more specifically, it's about telling a story. And they're going to use these reporters to tell stories. And that's how these reporters can give us insight and content the way they are, because they are helping the company tell us a story. And to me, it's a work, but it's a damn brilliant one at that. And I love it. Like, I'm smiling right now talking about it because it's making me feel the way I did about professional wrestling 20 years ago, because I just felt for so long it was all a show. Everyone knew it was a show, and it was basically like Cirque du Soleil, like a traveling circus. But now it's starting to feel like professional wrestling again.
Okay. Yes. And just so you know, Colby Daniel Lopez is his name.
Okay.
I had no clue. I have actually never seen his real. I really didn't. So those of you that need to know some trivia, it's Colby Daniel Lopez, or Colby Lopez is his real name. But you're right. This is something that you look at and go, even for the smart fans like myself, as we smart, whatever you want to label us as, hardcore. I don't care what the label is. Those of us that are more passionate and more detailed and more involved in the product than the casual fan, we look at this. Even some of us are looking at this going, I don't know, is there a real element to this? Is this something that is actually partially real at the very least? Or is this fully Seth losing his mind and getting angry that Punk's back for whatever he said, many years ago, whatever the case may be? And I think it's 95% work and 5% that he genuinely doesn't like Phil Brooks. I think that's what it is. And if you look back at some interviews that Seth Rollins did a couple years ago, or even for promoting the 2K23 video game, he said that, for Phil Brooks, CM Punk, to stay away from WWE, that he's a cancer. He doesn't want to ever see him. So maybe he was being smart, knowing that, okay, if CM Punk ever comes back, I've got a match set up with the biggest star that's going to return. So, I mean, I think he was actually being proactive in his promos or in his interviews that he did a year, 2 years ago, talking about his dislike for Punk, knowing that if he ever comes back, he's got a shoe in for a match with him. It's kind of a smart deal. And if he didn't do that on purpose, well, then it's a happy accident. I don't know what it was, but this to me it's such a stark contrast to his character. And that's what made it so believable, is he's always this happy-go-lucky, cackling, insane outfit wearing guy. And then he comes out and he's flipping the bird in a PG era, cussing at him, F this, mother effer, all these things. And that's not something you do. You just don't do that. I mean, like, you have families there, you have kids that are still there, and they did it off camera, so they can get away with it there, I guess. But this made it feel more real. That it was a total contrast of character for Seth. 2, it was captured on a fan cell phone video, which makes it feel like you weren't supposed to see it. It's a smart way to get it out there, knowing WWE, everyone in the world has a video camera in their pocket. And number 3, it's already going to be exploding on the internet because Seth Rollins or CM Punk has returned to WWE. So it is a very smart move, even if it was an accident or totally unintentional.
It was brilliant. And, you know, even the Drew McIntyre stuff, like him storming out the way he did, pissed off the way that they said he stormed out of the arena to the back. Like, for me, this is all calculated. And this is how I look at it. These guys are main eventers. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins says how many world titles has he won? Like 5 at least. Main evented how many WrestleManias? Drew McIntyre was the face of the company for a period during the pandemic era. Like, these guys are veterans. And even if you hate Phil Brooks, and look, there's a cocktail of reasons to hate Phil Brooks. Paul Levesque probably hates Phil Brooks to a certain extent. But the guy draws money. This is a mega return. And if either of these guys, let's just, you know, for a second, play in the reality that this was a shoot. Seth Rollins is this pissed. Drew McIntyre's this pissed. Shame on them. Shame on them, because that means that you care more about yourself than you do the business. And that's why I think this is a work. But the fact that we're even talking about it and we're like dissecting, like, hell, well, you know what, if they're mad, like, shame on them. Or some people are just like, yeah, you know what, like, you know, he's not a good luck for the locker room. The cancer's there or whatever. That's what makes this so brilliant, because we're not only talking about the return, we're talking about different like scenarios of what it means. Was that real? Was it fake? Was it staged? Was it a work? Is Drew actually pissed? Does he have a contract? Seth cuts a promo last night at a house show. Like, that's what's so brilliant about all of this. And the best part is CM Punk hasn't said a word. We haven't seen CM Punk on television with another wrestler yet. We haven't seen him interact with anyone yet, and all this is going on. So it's nuts to me. I hope that it's not just like a one-hit wonder for CM Punk and it all spirals out of control. But I also have to be honest, as such a WWE loyalist, I know a lot of the listeners bash me for this, but I'll keep playing into this gimmick. I find it so funny for AEW because I think that company is just spiraling out of control right now.
And they have, totally off topic, MJF has a torn labrum. One of their top stars is injured. Anyway, yeah. So this is AEW's, of course, worst nightmare, and especially if it goes well. But you know, looking at this, moving, I guess, beyond the Seth deal, which again, while we haven't seen Raw, guys, it's very possible that Seth Rollins comes out and talks to CM Punk. I mean, we don't know yet. We haven't seen it, so you know, again, keep that in mind. But this is a match that Seth Rollins has said he would do if CM Punk is up to it. I mean, he has said that before in the past. Even though he doesn't like him, he would still have a match with him if they're willing to do business. So that seems to be a shoo-in for me. But I guess my question to you is, as we look forward, okay, the Punk return happened. What can you see moving forward? The contract with Punk apparently is multi-year, but I'm just looking through WrestleMania at this point. Where do you see CM Punk fitting now into the situation, into the WWE landscape, heading into Rumble, and then Elimination Chamber in Australia, and then, of course, in Philadelphia for WrestleMania 40. Do you have any idea? I mean, of course, Seth Rollins is out there, but you have Drew, who is supposed to be facing Seth. Like, what do you think could be the case for CM Punk heading into Rumble and Mania?
I mean, the low-hanging fruit for CM Punk is Seth Rollins. I mean, you have to imagine he's going to come face-to-face with Roman Reigns at some point. But I feel like Cody Rhodes is on a collision course with Roman for WrestleMania. As for Randy Orton, I mean, he's such a Swiss Army knife right now. You could go in so many different directions with Randy Orton. Like, the first one that jumps off the page to me is Damian Priest. I don't know, maybe just because of how built Damian Priest has got and just how good Randy Orton looks, just like from an aesthetic point of view, it would be so like intriguing. But that's the joy about all this, is that there's no more clear-cut path anymore. But the one, it's crazy. You asked me these things about what it means for Orton and Punk specifically and individually, but I don't even think about them right now. I think more about what it means for other wrestlers. And the first thought in my head is, does this mean that like we don't even need The Rock anymore?
I think it really could mean that we don't need The Rock. No one's even thinking about The Rock now. I'm not thinking about The Rock. I kind of gave up on it after another report after his return said, oh, no, it's a one-off. He's not going to be there. And then Cody dropped hint after hint that it's going to be him facing Roman at WrestleMania. I've come to terms with the fact that The Rock and Roman is probably not going to happen this year. If it does, great. But here's the thing. We don't need it because of how many opponents that Roman Reigns has lined up. Am I still going to be pissed off? And am I still going to be honestly kind of insulted as a fan and angry and felt led on for years by The Rock specifically? Because WWE is more than willing to do it. But so I would put the majority of the blame on The Rock. Yeah, I'll still be angry. I'm not going to forget about it. This doesn't absolve The Rock, but it does make me forget about him for a little while because of so many opponents that are lined up. Of course, AJ Styles. You have Cody Rhodes Part 2, which is he's probably going to be the one to take the title off Roman. But you have Randy Orton floating out there. I mean, there's just now a line of guys that are like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have so many guys that are just ready to go, built-in stories that to honestly, like, it would soften the blow, but it wouldn't make me forget about it or forgive anyone for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to forgive. Like, in my opinion, and not to go on a Rock diatribe, I feel like he's done irreparable damage to his legacy in WWE. And I know that he feels like he still has stuff to do in WWE because he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. And to me, if he was really ready to just hang up his boots and never come back, he would have been put in the Hall of Fame years ago. But for me, I think he's stringing them along. But it feels like the way that the WWE landscape is right now, and you have so many stars that we're not even really talking about, like a Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Austin Theory, like AJ Styles, Sheamus, like all these guys who, yeah, they're probably better suited for the mid card, but still quality wrestlers. Like even Roman Reigns, at this point with CM Punk back and Randy Orton back and Seth Rollins as important as he's feeling, and even though we don't like him, Cody Rhodes in the position he is, Damian Priest really rising, Drew McIntyre still a very intriguing character. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with Drew McIntyre. LA Knight, who I think still has a lot of popularity. Gunther still on a big rise and a big push as Intercontinental Champion. Slowly, eventually would assume that he's going to scratch the surface on the main event. I don't even think you need the belt on Roman Reigns anymore. Like, I think now how WWE is, you have found a landscape and a cast of superstars that you don't need to keep that championship on Roman Reigns. In the pandemic era, it saved the company in a lot of ways. It saved creative. It was the most intriguing story week in, week out when they were in the Thunderdome. Coming out of the pandemic era, it was the same thing. That you were really like, when you had the WWE Championship on Big E or Bobby Lashley, like Roman Reigns still always felt like the champion who was going to carry the Monday Night Raw brand. And that title always played second fiddle. It made sense. But now with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes and now CM Punk, a returning Randy Orton, LA Knight, to say nothing of guys like Sami Zayn, singles run by Jey Uso, Damian Priest, like, it just feels like it's time where you don't need to lean on a guy like Roman Reigns anymore. You don't need to lean on The Rock returning. You don't need to lean on a part-timer like Brock Lesnar. It feels like right now what WWE has at their disposal talent-wise and how well creative is clicking under Triple H. I don't even remember the last time they were in this good of a position.
That was actually my follow-up question to you is, when was the last time you felt this positive about the product? And again, take the returns aside. Those are just a bonus. Take the returns aside. WWE, even despite the Punk and Orton returns, which were massive and absolutely everyone's talking about it right now. It's the hot topic and rightfully so. But even take those out of it. WWE has been on a hell of a run lately and done a great job, and I don't think they get the credit they deserve sometimes for number one, how difficult it is to build stars. It's not easy to do at all. I don't envy their position. I'm not saying it's easy to do. I'm just saying it's the lifeblood of the company. And I think they have done a very good job over the last couple of years helping build new stars. It may not always be the stars that people want or that they think WWE should push, and sure, they screw up. But I think they've done a great job of creating that next generation where you, like you said, I don't know if we really even need to lean on the stars of yesteryear to create an interesting product anymore. But when they do return, it's a big deal because now you're thinking about fantasy matchups. You're thinking about Royal Rumble. You're thinking about WrestleMania. And it's almost a bonus. It's not a necessity. And I don't know how you feel about the overall product, which I think you just kind of answered.
It's crazy because when we started doing this show together, which is what, like how long ago was it? 2019?
Yeah.
2019. So that's 4.5 years ago, which is bananas to think about. That was probably the product at its worst. Like, I remember we did a show. It was probably like the third or fourth time we spoke. And we were talking about the upcoming main event of a pay-per-view of Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans versus Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. And the US champion, I want to say, was... Can't even tell you. I think the Intercontinental champion was Bobby Lashley with Leo Rush as his mouthpiece.
Leo Rush, yeah.
Like, yeah, remember he would be like, Lashley. Like,
yes.
So, just to say is that leading into the pandemic era, when I first joined your podcast, was probably the worst. Summer of 2019 was like the doldrum years of WWE creative. And the last time I felt this way about it, like that tonight I had to rush home from work because I wanted to see the opening to Monday Night Raw. Honestly, you're probably going back like over 15 years ago. Like going into WrestleMania 23. Like when they were building Shawn Michaels versus John Cena, which I think was one of the best builds of all time and one of the more underrated WrestleMania matches. But for me to feel this, like attached to the product and this confident about the product, you're probably going back 15, 16 years.
There is no doubt that right now, and again, I'm trying to put aside the returns because everybody feels rosy when those happens, but that wears off relatively quickly. Those pops that both men got are very unlikely to continue to duplicate themselves week after week because you get used to the person being there. It's human nature. That feeling will wear off. But what will stay are the guys that are continuing to ascend, the ones that you are watching and seeing the stars of yesteryear help them achieve greatness. And you're watching at this point, I think, stars that aren't just in their beginning stages, but are starting to peak. Gunther is starting to become part, quote unquote, in his prime. You have The Miz, who's been kind of reinvigorated by a babyface turn that, I mean, I didn't think would work and didn't think it'd be successful, but it has been. Seth Rollins is re-peaking at this time because of all the controversy right now, but he's been a good champion over the last 7 months or so. I mean, you have Roman Reigns, of course, but we've already discussed him. You have LA Knight, who came out of nowhere as an organic kind of fan-driven star that really no one saw coming in terms of being able to main event him on a PLE, and here we are, and he's still talking about targeting Roman Reigns. Like, we have so many guys right now, and the Judgment Day being a successful group. Jey Uso going out on his own and being a major star. Cody Rhodes, for as much as you and I hate his babyface character, is a big star, love him or hate him. And so there's just everything right now. It's not all roses, but I mean, there's some things that are still god awful, but it's more good than bad. And it's sometimes difficult to find things to nitpick because things right now feel so good. But I also want fans to realize, hey, these returns and how feel good that wears off. What doesn't is the story of or the stories WWE produces and the week-to-week quality of the product, the promos, the matches, which continue to be really, really good. So, this is a time when I don't know if fan loyalty or fan satisfaction has been any higher. I'd love to do a poll. If I could poll the millions of fans out there, what how they feel about the product, what it would come back at right now.
And that's not to say it's not with its warts, right? Like I saw a bit of them promoting the tag team turmoil match, a backstage, little thing where like Akira Tozawa was doing like some shimmy that's now supposed to be funny. Like there still are the stupidities, and they still are going to make mistakes. I still think the way that they've booked Roman Reigns matches up until 3 weeks ago is really, really like just repetitive and boring and predictable. Like there are things that still need to be improved, but it feels like for the first time in 15 years that the positives vastly outweigh the negatives. And like you said, take away the returns. Like take away CM Punk. Like Randy Orton, like I mean, he's a big return, but we could factor that in. He's been around for a while. He was a big part of the pandemic era, arguably went on his best run during the pandemic era. But like even without that, like Monday Night Raw was becoming maybe not must watch because yeah, sometimes like the formula was very similar, but the storytelling has been really good. Every segment that you put on right now means something. Even if it isn't your flavor, even if you find it dumb, it doesn't hit quite right. Like the Zoe Stark, let's say promo from what was it, 2 weeks ago? That was a really bad promo. It was unfortunate. I really felt bad for Zoe Stark, but still meant something. The Nia Jax return. Not a lot of people like Nia Jax. A lot of people were just like, oh, why is she here? But it meant something. Everything, or like, Pretty Deadly's the what was that promo package they did with their feet, like they were getting pedicures or something. Like maybe it's not your flavor of the week, but it meant something. It was furthering their characters, their storytelling, and that's what I find different now is that under Vince McMahon there were so many angles and segments and matches in a week that you knew had no consequence and in the grand scheme of things meant nothing. Like, have you realized that there are very, very few squash matches anymore? Like with enhancement talents?
Yeah, unless they're doing it in dark matches, I haven't seen them on TV.
And that's what I really like how they've pushed the Creed brothers, like how fast they like thrusted Austin, not Austin Theory, Grayson Waller into like a very significant role. Like even a guy like Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes is someone who I think has lost every single time he's been on TV, but he's literally always had quality matches. Look at Bronson Reed. Like Bronson Reed under Vince McMahon would have gotten the Braun Strowman treatment, where he just squashed enhancement talents for 2 months straight, and then they would have tried to build him up. And Braun Strowman actually had a pretty good run under Vince McMahon, but like Bronson Reed has taken a lot of losses. But every time he comes out there, it's to mean something. And that's what I like about this right now, is that even when I don't like it or it doesn't hit for me or it's not my flavor, at least I could come away saying, you know what, that meant something and it was for a purpose.
And you know what I think has been also a staple of the Triple H era, and I don't want to put all of the praise on Triple H and all of the everything Vince did was bad, but it does feel fresh now, and I think the staple of Triple H's run for a little over a year now has been that not only have his pay-per-views come out feeling better than they went in, but it almost like every pay-per-view, every PLE has kind of hit the reset button or it's wiped the slate clean of any bad feelings you had about the company or a lot of them. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm back into this, or I'm back into that, where going in, you're like, let's see what happens. And it's just something that I think is a credit to the talent themselves, who are given more time to do what they do best. And that is tell good stories in the ring. Even if they suck on the mic, they can tell you a hell of a story in the ring. And I think that's something that is not often talked about as well. And so honestly, like you said, though, there is still the crap that will always be crap on pro wrestling. Anytime they try to do comedy. Comedy is difficult to do. It is very difficult to do. And especially when you try to have people do it that aren't professionals do it. and it usually does not work out well. I know Akira Tozawa is supposed to be the Santino Marella of our generation, or like I get it, and there is some of it is kind of like it's not super embarrassing to watch, but you're just like, yeah, if I had my friend over, I wouldn't want him watching this stuff. I'd feel embarrassed, but if I'm alone, I'm like, all right, I can deal with this. It's like that kind of stuff is always going to live in wrestling because they feel it's a let me up moment. It's a palate cleanser. It's you got to shake things up from all the serious stuff going on. And I get it. So it's going to forever be the fabric woven into the fabric of WWE. There's nothing we can do about it. But generally, I think the product has felt more wrestling focused. It has felt more story driven. And as you said, it has felt more like everything actually has a purpose instead of just filler.
This is one thing that we used to talk about when we first came on. Well, when I first joined your show, like, does Vince McMahon get too much flack? That everything he touches, people said was bad. And I, was happy when he got ousted, but I'm just like, maybe we're making too much of this. How much of a difference is Triple H going to make, or how much of a difference will it make Vince not being there? But now that we saw how it was in late 2022 when he quote unquote retired, where it got to when he, I guess, presumably shoved his way back into creative, and how it's been the last 2 months when the reports came out that Area Manuel removed him from creative. Is it fair to say that wasn't overblown, that Vince McMahon in the last, let's say, 10-ish years, maybe a bit less than that, has been a major problem for creative?
No doubt about it. I mean, this is a topic. I mean, we could just veer off in another 45 minutes. But I mean, the short answer, the short version, the Cliff Notes is yes. And it just comes down to, number one, age. As we age, even the great Vince McMahon, your mind will deteriorate. It will go downhill. You're not as sharp. You're repeating yourself. You're not coming up with the ideas that you used to. And also, it's coming from the same mind. So when it's coming from the same mind, or it's being fed to the same mind and then filtered out, it's the same. It's the same source that it's coming from. It's the same guy that it's going through. So you're going to get a lot of the same results and a lot of the same feeling when it's the same guy for 40 years. And especially when you have a mentally deteriorating, geriatric man, it's just the way it's going to be. So I think Triple H, while he is going to falter, and there'll be times where we're sitting here going, what the hell is he thinking? This was awful. And it's going to happen. Of course, he's human. He's a human being. And I understand that. Sure. I think the Vince McMahon era to now, where Triple H being in charge for such a long period of time now, you can kind of look at it and go, oh yeah, these are just the general feeling of the product is more, it feels like a wrestling show. I think that is really what the difference is, and that's weird to say considering that it should have been feeling that way all along. It feels more wrestling, less quote-unquote entertainment. Wrestling is entertainment, but when they try to entertain us with something outside of wrestling, that feels more like Vince, and I would agree with that.
It's crazy because I do think that Vince had a lot of, it's just sad. It's, to be honest, it's just sad. And even when Triple H said, like, I'm just trying to continue building what Vince McMahon turned into, like, a global phenomenon, like him name dropping Vince McMahon, like, it's crazy that he was like this brilliant promoter, the best promoter of all time, and he just like overstayed his welcome. And like we're seeing it in an in-ring, on-screen capacity with Ric Flair right now, are we not? Like someone who is widely regarded as one of, if not the best of all time in terms of being a wrestler. And we're literally seeing Ric Flair, I don't want to say disgrace himself because that's pretty brutal and mean and disrespectful, but like, is Ric Flair just kind of like I don't know if metaphor is the right terminology, but a representation of maybe what was going on with Vince McMahon behind the scenes in creative?
I think, yeah, in a different capacity. It's where this business, and I'm not inside it, I'm on the outside just talking about what I think's on the inside, but from everything I've seen and heard over 25 years plus, this business gets in your blood. It's something you just can't let go of. And when it's part of your identity and it's part of who you are and part of your life, a large part of your life, it's really difficult to let go of because that's what and who you are. And so for Vince, being on the inside and being the CEO and the chairman and running things for how many years, it's really difficult to detach from that. So he did everything he could to kind of cling on, hang on, and be a part of the baby he helped create. And credit to him. I mean, everything Vince did wasn't always great, but he gave us a platform that will forever be in existence, we hope. And then you have on the pro wrestling side of things with Ric Flair, you have a guy that is clearly, 20 years out of his prime and 20 years away from being able to wrestle a credible match in which I think you're going to look at this. If Ric Flair has a match in AEW and you're going to look at this and go, I just don't want him to die. Like if you look at a guy and you're saying that the goal of the match is to make sure that your opponent or one of the competitors doesn't die, I think that's a sign of maybe you put this guy in when he was a little bit past his prime. So is he disgracing himself? Like kind of, but fans aren't going to really care too much. They're going to be like, wow, it's a Ric Flair match. Ric Flair is in this because that's his identity. That's who he was and who he still believes he is. And I understand that feeling, but at this point, yeah, it is kind of embarrassing for him. I don't think he's going to ruin his legacy by any means. That'll forever be etched, but man, yeah, I don't like to see it. I mean, we saw it with The Undertaker and others where it's like, that wasn't so great. You can see the writing on the wall, and the writing is long faded for Ric Flair.
So I guess as we wrap it up here, what are we to expect from the Triple H era moving forward? There are warts in Triple H, everyone has. I'm not sitting here saying that he everything he touches turns to gold, but there's been tangible improvement. But you know what? Let's make it simpler. We just praised Triple H for the last hour or so, and how creative has been under his watch. What's the one thing you want to see Triple H fix moving forward here? What's the one thing to improve on?
Well, not welcoming us to Monday Night Raw or SmackDown every single time that somebody comes out. Why they need to do that is just so stupid. I would say, and I don't know if this is really a fix, as more of just kind of a continual progression of making the product feel like anything could happen, where when a finish is coming, where you can kind of feel things out. Just continue to do the little things, fix the little things that make the environment feel like it's truly not an anything can happen environment. It feels at times too controlled. It feels at times too much like what's going to happen next. And a lot of the time we're right as fans. And unpredictability can be fun if it's done the right way and it's done for the right reason. So I would say continual evolution of just creating that environment that fans feel it's an exciting environment. You're always on your toes. You feel like, oh wait, I don't want to miss this. Something crazy could happen. So I would say that would be kind of a continual evolution. But what about you?
I kind of touched on it before, but just have more consistency with the championships on any given show, and that means SmackDown right now. Look, SmackDown since Crown Jewel, the only championship that we've seen on SmackDown is the Women's Championship. And you know what? To be fair, that's probably the best story that SmackDown has going right now is Damage Control and the impending, I guess, ousting of Bayley, which we all see coming. But I think the biggest reason why SmackDown has felt so blah in the month of November and post Crown Jewel is because there's no championships. And you say it all the time. Why are the men there? Or why are the women there? Why is everyone there to win championships? Why do you play football games every Sunday? Why do baseball players play 180 times a year? To win the championship. And on SmackDown, it kind of feels like a rudderless ship right now. All the guys are just vying for what exactly? Okay, yeah, Santos Escobar. Yeah, that's a really good story. LA Knight trying to get revenge on the Bloodline. That's a really good story. Trying to build up Dragon Lee. Yeah, that's a good story. But there's no tag title. There's no mid-card title. There's no world title. And for me, I think that we've seen now on 2 occasions, Raw for all of 2022 without a world championship to contend for, and now SmackDown with no men's championship to contend for at all. Forget a world title. There's no mid-card title or a tag title. I really think that we've seen on 2 separate occasions the big negative effect that a lack of championships, both singular and plural, could have on a brand.
That's a good suggestion. I mean, again, we've been without a champion on SmackDown since essentially WrestleMania 38. So yeah, that, and one last thing I'd suggest, Triple H, make the brand rules mean something. They're like, hey, I know that it doesn't happen every week that somebody violates the brand rules, but it's either do it or don't. You can't be half pregnant. You either are or you aren't. You don't just do this and then, turn your back on it and go, well, for the storyline, we're just going to put I've complained about this forever, but it's continues to show its ugly head. And it's like, you can't have both, but it continues to happen. And I know I'm speaking into the ether here, but so that would be another suggestion. And so, of course, we could come up with others, but I think we'll kind of close things out there. Do you have any final comments or suggestions or whatever?
Nope, just that I think it's going to be one hell of a ride between now and WrestleMania. I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be a lot of fun, and there'll be some hiccups and things that we just shake our head at, but overall, I think this is going to be one of the best WrestleMania seasons we've seen in maybe over 10, 15 years. Like, since the Ruthless Aggression era, this could be one of those epic WrestleMania seasons, and that doesn't include Stone Cold. It doesn't include The Rock, but it could. I mean, who knows? So, all right. Well, this has been a lot of fun as we get into, really, to me, the unofficial start to WrestleMania season. In my mind, that's where I'm at already. But guys, don't forget, you can check out Anthony DeMarco's non-PG version of this show, After Dark, only on Patreon at the NXT Plus and higher levels. So check us out there. And Anthony, thanks so much, buddy. We'll be chatting in a week.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Enjoy Monday Night Raw.
You too.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.